Elliot Anderson, Manchester City prepared to make a second bid, probably going to meet close to Nottingham Forest valuation. I'd imagine that deal's probably going to get done at some point or another. Also, another story regarding Real Madrid and probably a lot of people's favourite target once we forget about Anderson in Too-Many. And it looks like Mourinho, surprise, surprise, I'm not surprised here. It looks like Mourinho wants to keep a world-class player at Real Madrid, which makes 100% sense. It seems that Too-Many has no interest in leaving Real Madrid either, so I think that's going to be completely off the table. The question for Man United fans is going to be, what is going to be the plan now? It looks like Mateus Fernandes might be the first deal we get done. Actually, if you look at Edison, that deal, I think Atlanta have signed all the paperwork, but that deal needs to get signed off by Man United. He's going to the World Cup, but that is a done deal pretty much apart from just signing the contract now. But Eddie Anderson off the table. I think I said this recently. I thought it was an unlikely deal. And I said about the Too-Many that I thought it was had very, very little chance as well. But does this change anything for Man United fans? Does this change anything in terms of the transfer window? One story I saw this morning, which did make me think, like, not quite panic settings just yet, but Manchester United looking at Cucurella, and maybe that's another situation where are Man United going to make too many compromises? I think is probably the question I've got. But if you're looking at Lewis Hall, if you're not going to get your top target in midfield, then get your top target left back if you can. Try and get as many top targets as possible, and that would be my strategy. But to be honest, I think Anderson was always going to be a difficult one, really tricky to try and get as well. I just saw this. I'll go through the chat in a second and say no Chelsea rejects, please. Cucurella, I don't know what to think about that deal because technically, like Cucurella's a decent player. I've never really been a massive fan of him. I can see why he might be linked to clubs. He's going to leave Chelsea. Apparently, Cucurella actually favours a move to Barcelona. So when I hear that, I just think, right, maybe we should just step away from that situation and not consider it. Apparently, he cost about £40 million, 40 to 50 million, something along those sort of lines. I mean, for Cucurella, my interest is quite low, but I can see why might be looking at him. I'm not actually sure how old he is, so I don't know whether he would be talked about. So you mentioned him in January. You mentioned Cucurella in January. To be honest, if you did, I was probably not listening because Cucurella I'm not a fan of. I think people will know that. So I was not a big fan. I think he's about £60 million for him from Chelsea bought him. I thought he was a bit overpriced. But anyway, we'll jump into the news. Let me know what you're thinking regarding some of the stories. I'll go for a few of the comments as well. Yali, if that happens, mate, there's going to be a queue at that river, isn't it? There's going to be a lot of people. To be honest, I'm hoping like we hear no more about Cucurella. I didn't want to talk about it. I was going to be I was going to be one of the people that said that I don't want to do a stream, and I was actually thinking I might have to do a Cucurella stream and cover the story and do a story where I'd be sat there thinking I'm not enthusiastic about the Cucurella deal at all. I think Lewis Hall would be the deal I'd be going for. And beyond that, I do quite like Kadioglu, and I would say there's a few other left backs we can consider as well. But in terms of like the main story, then Elliot Anderson off the table, not a surprise. And were Man United ever going to make an offer that was close to being accepted? I don't think so. I don't think so as well. Stephanie says panic poll settings. I don't think the panic is happening just yet. I think there's a few things happening at the moment, and I think what's happening at the moment is Manchester United. We're probably deviating from maybe what's going to be the top one as well, and say no. If Cake calls in, I tried to get him to call in, but he's not interested in speaking live on the channel. So again, it's not for everybody, but we'll have to see and say. Stephanie says, "Will you support and watch Manchester United are always panicking?" So I don't know if this is going to be true. Like I know when looking at this, was this always going to be like? Did anybody really think Man United were going to sign one of these players? Like, I remember like yesterday, somebody asked me. I said the percentage chance for me was like 2% that Man United get Too-Many. I just when you got a player that's at Madrid, he doesn't want to leave Real Madrid. I just don't see how this deal would have happened anyway, unless Real Madrid had forced him out. And then again, that's only half the story. Real Madrid can force Too-Many out. Too-Many would then have loads of options. And to be honest, like, what if Paris Saint-Germain come in with like a big offer? What if like say Arsenal, Man City come in with big offers as well? So I don't think it would have been ever clear cut as well. So I think the idea that we get too many, clearly, like we'd have to sell the project to him. Clearly, we'd have to break our wage structure. So there's so much here in terms of this one. Like Bilal says, we were never signing too many. I don't think we were signing too many at all. When he came out and said he was going to stay at Madrid, for me that was the end of the story. Like, just if he says he's going to stay at Real Madrid, just believe him. He's going to stay at Real Madrid. So I don't think that was ever on the table. But again, and I don't think Man United would have thought that this was a likely deal either. So I'm pretty sure regarding this one, it was not going to be on the table. Yanni says Anderson is so expensive, so United were never going to sign him either. We have got a budget, so again, like we can argue about how much Man United would spend. I think Manchester United would spend a decent amount of on the team, but I think they're looking at trying to do more and more deals. So I think we're looking at trying to do more than one or two deals that are going to cost big money. Kenny says it's going to be Fernandes and Tonali. Okay, so this is probably the question now. Right, it's no big secret that Man United have been talking to Tonali. It was reported by Italian media about 3 to 4 weeks ago now. So this has been something that we found out the same day we found out that United were probably going to be the team that gets Edison. So when we found that out, we knew about the Tonali situation. We're now seeing lots of information coming out about Tonali, about Matheus Fernandes. Does the news today, like too many staying, does that pretty much rule Real Madrid out of a Matheus Fernandes move? Because that's going to be probably the positive about this. That the only team I could see that would cause a significant problem, and also there was an update by Sully, and it talked about the Matheus Fernandes. Apparently, a lot of sources close to Matheus Fernandes believe that he has already chosen Manchester United as the club he wants, but his agent Mendes is really trying to keep things under wraps, trying to keep information out of the public because he wants to get the most money possible for Matheus Fernandes and ultimately get the most money for himself. So he has got an agent that tends to actually have a bit more power than other agents. So information regarding Matheus Fernandes' preferred destination is probably being kept quiet. So if you've seen things, sources out there, people might be guessing, but there's not a lot of information coming out about this situation from Matheus Fernandes because him and his agent, they want to get the best possible deal. And I think for West Ham as well, they're in no hurry to kind of. And again, if Matheus Fernandes comes out and says he wants to join Manchester United, and that information is in the public domain, their negotiating stance does weaken. So what we do know at the moment is the teams interested were Manchester United, the other teams interested, Arsenal, PSG, and recently Real Madrid have been linked. I think the Real Madrid interest might be a bit overhyped considering they just had a presidential election. They're looking at spending big money. Maybe they're going to go make a crazy move for Elise. We're going to have to see. But the president did say that they're going to spend 150 on somebody. I can't imagine they're then going to find 60 to 70 to find another offer for Matheus Fernandes. I think they're going to be looking to spend quite big on a different sort of player, and maybe it is going to be Elise that is an option as well. So it could be that they go for that sort of player. We'll have to see. But I think Real Madrid's interest has been pretty hyped up. I mean, Real Madrid are a big club. We know that they're going to be getting a lot of media coverage as well. And maybe they're considering this. Like, Jose Mourinho did essentially say that regarding this one, you're looking at that. And regarding this one, that Man United are still in the pole position. I think we're the only club that's been in negotiation, in talks regarding that one at the moment. I would say regarding Perez, said 2 days ago that Merkelise was not the person. Okay, there was a lot of stories pushed out this one as well. So I think regarding Real Madrid, apparently a lot of things were said in the presidential campaign. I don't know if they're going to go for Elise. According to Bayern Munich, he's not for sale anyway. But maybe there's a lot of media coverage of Real Madrid. There was also talks about Patiño. I don't think they're going to move for him either. But if they do, I think Paris Saint-Germain will not sell. So I think with this one, all I'm thinking of regarding this one is, there's a lot. I think all we're thinking regarding this one is, are Man United going to have to fight for another club? Oh no, are we going to have a fight with another club to get Matheus Fernandes? At the moment, we're kind of all guessing, aren't we? I do not think Man United are going to have a significant issue. If we meet a valuation that West Ham are happy with, I think Mateus Fernandes is a Manchester United player. And there was loads talked about, probably I'm trying to think when it was. There was probably like a month ago or more. There was a lot of stories coming out saying that he would be interested in joining Manchester United because of like Mateus Fernandes. So there's different reasons for everything as well. Danny B says he wants United. Mendes wants his fees to rise. So Danny B, like the most, well, probably one of the most accurate sources on Twitter, for example, is probably Sully Talks, and Sully Talks was saying exactly the same sort of thing as well. Welcome to the chat, Jules. Con says, who decided that Anderson, Tonali, and Tchouaméni were the elite options? To be honest, then this is completely subjective. So if you're looking at what are the best options, if I ask 10 people, and like for me, I do not think actually, I don't think Tonali is the best option, but people can disagree on that. If I was going to make the decision, I would probably I would probably be looking at, so you'd rather get Fernandes, Belieber, and Alex Scott. I would probably be quite on board with getting Alex Scott and Matheus Fernandes and Lewis Hall. And I've said a few times that if I'm looking at rebuilding Manchester United, and we've already got the makings of quite a good young team with Aiden Heaven, with Yoro, with Dorgu, with Lamans. I would be quite happy to get someone like Lewis Hall in and maybe spend quite big money on Lewis Hall and look at trying to get maybe someone like Fernandes and Scott. So again, we can disagree. I think that most people really like Anderson as a target. That's just a popular opinion at the moment. I think Tonali is very divisive as well. And I would say that regarding like Matheus Fernandes, I think we've got to say that Tchouaméni is an elite option. Like Tchouaméni has been one of the best players in the world for a while. He's expected to be one of the best players in the World Cup. So I think Tchouaméni is 100% a credible elite option. I think Anderson, it's quite early to say. Like for me, Anderson's had very, very good seasons, and potentially we're going to see a better player year on year. But for me, I think for the money, Matheus Fernandes might be a better deal. So I'll go through a few of the comments again. I mean, it's just people's personal preference, isn't it? To be honest, Cucurella, yeah, I'm not going to say anything more about Cucurella unless if Man United make a stance and make a move to get Cucurella, I'll cover it obviously. But at the moment in time, I think it's just again like another player linked to the club. Welcome Ian and welcome Jim to the chat. Good to see you guys. Ian says you'd like some British players bought into the team, and so British players, I suppose, like the problem is they're quite expensive, aren't they? So I think at the moment in time, if you look at the Premier League is awash with like different nationalities. I don't really mind too much because I mean, if you're looking at the players available, I think Matheus Fernandes has played a couple of years in the Premier League would be a good option as well. So I don't know. To be honest, I don't really mind where the players are coming from. I do kind of quite like having players from the Premier League, but Alex Scott is still on the table. That could be still another one as well. Welcome Cons to the chat as well. Vril says the Tchouaméni situation depends on Mourinho. So yeah, apparently Mourinho came out. If you know, well, I'm guessing a bit here, but I'm saying that with Mourinho, he built a world-class team with an elite CDM in Makaleli in what 2004 to 2006 or 2003. I think yeah, 2004 to 2006. And I'm just thinking like, if you're Mourinho, the last thing you do is get rid of some of your elite players. So again, like I'd be very, very surprised if we hear any more about the Tchouaméni situation. I mean, unless there's something crazy going to happen, but it's Real Madrid, so you never know 100%, do you? I think Real Madrid are probably the only club that are probably over-reported to the extent that Man United are. That's what I'll be looking at as well. Um, Afternoon to you, Andy. Mark said it's always panic time at this club. The thing with this one is that Man United haven't really been pushing like information into the media. So they've been deliberately not announcing loads of things. So I think a lot of the things that we've seen over maybe the last couple of months is that do the media really know what Man United's top target is? If it's reported that Anderson is the top target, and there might be a few journalists that report that, does that mean that's the case? I mean, Manchester United are probably better than ever in the last couple of years at actually keeping information in-house. We're looking at so many different players that the media didn't call out the Edison deal until it's pretty much announced by Italian media, and it's pretty close to being done. And Manchester United have been looking at Edison on and off for at least a couple of seasons. So I'm just going to say that if you see a report that says this is Man United's top targets, why would Manchester United put that information out there? That would not make sense. But so is Hall overpriced? I'll just say this quickly. Big up to you, Jarvis. Is Hall overpriced? I think it's going to be a situation that Newcastle do not want to sell. Newcastle don't need to sell. So if you want to buy one of Newcastle's key players, Newcastle want to move out Livramento, don't they? Newcastle would rather start get rid of Willock as well. So Newcastle got players that want to move on. They don't want to move on Tonali, but Tonali does want to leave. So that means that United are probably in a better position than they would be if Tonali wanted to stay. But again, Newcastle have to be realistic that the player will want to leave. So for me, it's very difficult to put a value on Tonali. He's a good player, but if Newcastle won 100 million, that's a lot of money. And I think if Tonali cost 100 million, then you could look at it and see like there's options out there that are probably a bit more cost effective. So I mean, I've said a few times I don't mind Alex Scott. I think he's a very good player. And if Man United got Alex Scott and Mateus Fernandes with Mainu as well, that's an incredibly young midfield. We got obviously Edison a bit more experienced. I don't mind it. I know when people are looking at it thinking it's probably a judgment call, isn't it? I couldn't say that if we got Tonali, would he be a much better player at Man United than say Matheus Fernandes or Alex Scott, or would it not make much difference? I think at the moment it's very difficult to say that you're going to get an extra benefit by spending however much extra Tonali cost over some of these players. So I honestly do not know. I think Fernandes for me might be the one that most fans agree on. And talking to Philip from Toon Tactics TV, he rates Matheus Fernandes incredibly highly. He would be the player that he would replace Bruno Guimaraes with if Bruno left Newcastle. So high praise from like Newcastle fans for Matheus Fernandes. And I think it's not surprised, is it, that we look at Matheus Fernandes, the teams that want him are all world class teams. So we're looking in the right place. But it does mean that maybe things are going to be happening a bit slower because Mendes is going to be trying to drag this out if he can possibly. Big up to Cohen in the chat. Stephanie says what baffles you regarding Newcastle is selling their players to generate money. So the owners are richer. The owners are very wealthy, but they're hampered by the rules, aren't they? So they're actually the difference is definitely Newcastle United's owners actually play by the rules. So you can see that if you do play by the rules and your turnover is somewhat limited, like Newcastle's is in comparison to Man United, that they can't go crazy on this one. And I was informed by Philip a week ago that Newcastle United were forced into selling Anderson because if they didn't, they were looking at points deduction. So it shows that they've been like they had to sell a player quite cheap to make sure they fit in with the rules. And for me, you can see the difference. Like Newcastle trying to spend money, but they're not able to do that. So if you're saying if they're going to pull out, there has been some rumours actually that Newcastle owners might be considering selling some of their interest or all of it. So I honestly have no idea what's going to happen regarding this one as well. Imagine if Mourinho plays the release clause for Bruno. I don't even want to think about that, to be honest. I don't want to think about that one. Jarvis, it's probably going to be Modern Samurai or Rob gifted some memberships recently. So one of those two people, I think. But welcome to the membership club. And there's a lot of custom emojis I put in. They're obviously massively Man United biased, and particularly Eric Cantona biased. So please go for that one. I might have to remove the bottle emoji because, to be honest, Arsenal did go over the line, so I can't say too much about them at the moment. Mark says United's not giving anything away. Even the journalists are struggling with stories. This feels like one of those transfer windows where, if you imagine what makes better decisions in terms of like this one, if you're looking at things that make more sense, I think Manchester United's transfer policy, you can look at all the stories, but when deals actually get over the line, the transfers will probably make more sense than they used to do. So if you look at Man United, if we did go for Alex Scott and we did go for Matheus Fernandes, and we did go for someone like Lewis Hall. Just as an example, you look at it and think, actually, Man United are crying out for a midfield rebuild. We need some left back cover. So all these transfers we're looking at, I don't think there's going to be. People will have different ideas over which is the best player to sign, but I don't think it's going to be. It's not going to be a situation where we look at it and think what is going on. Ian says United's not recognisable to you anymore. Say we don't buy the best of British talent. Say we scrimp and save on foreign players. Do you think with this one that if Man United are going to go for Lewis Hall, that would be significant investment in British left back? So I think the difference that with this one that maybe with Manchester United we are going to have CHOUAMENI as like our midfield player. Maybe we're going to look at pairing alongside. Now he could have Alex Scott alongside him. You never know. And if you're looking at this one, what we might be seeing in is like a lot of things have changed in football. So again, if you're looking at the Premier League players at the moment, the English players, Elliot Anderson is 120 million possibly. So if we see City pay, I don't know, 110 or something like that, you'd have to look at it and say that do you want Man United to spend that sort of money on one player? That I know he's a favourite target for a lot of people, but I just don't know if Man United can do that in this window. I think that our team needs a lot of fixing, and I think there's obviously opportunities to get British players in there, but at the moment, most of the players in the market, if you're looking at the midfield players, there's a lot of availability there. So I think, unfortunately, that maybe Ali Anson is just too expensive in this window. I mean, I said that a year ago, 18 months ago, he's my top target, but I don't know what to say. United Devil Channel, is this you talking about the Greenwood sale? So I think with the Greenwood sale, we could have like 50% or so sell-on clause, a big sell-on clause, but it's only going to be a percentage over 25 million, isn't it? So in terms of this one, I don't know what if someone posted something about how much you're going to get as well. But if you're looking at a move for Greenwood, effectively, I think we sold him for 25 million. You just have to deduct 25 million pounds from whatever price he goes for. So if he goes for 50 million, we're going to get like half roughly. So if he went for 50 million, we'd be getting about 12 million, wouldn't we? So yeah, if it's 40%, I had heard 50%, but it's on the profit, isn't it? So no, if he goes for 70 million pounds, we're actually making decent money. But again, I'd be slightly disappointed if Greenwood only went for about 50 because it's one where I thought we could be getting a bit more regarding this one. I'm saying regarding the stories, Mr. B, then yeah, then Man City are looking to put in a second bid. That's going to be something that probably happens quite soon. And just to go back to that story of people that tuned in, this is probably why we're looking at Man United's, like, what are the genuine options as well. So this is coming up from Fabrizio saying Man City preparing bid number two. I think most people have like been seeing this story like dragging along for at least last month or two, and there's rumours like he'd been offered a 5-year contract. There's Man United are effectively just doing nothing at the moment because it looks like Elliot Anderson definitely wants to go to City. So I think with this one, it's just that Man United are just doing what can we do? I think people like want to see us get Elliot Anderson, but if Elliot Anderson has made up his mind, there's not much you can do. It's the same with too many. That it's one thing having targets, but do you think? I'm surely Manchester United must have realised, and the mainstream media as well was saying that. I think who was it that said it? Was it Andy Mitten or was it? I'm trying to think who was the journalist. It was either Andy Mitten or somebody along those lines that did say Man United like too many, but they see this as very, very difficult, very unlikely. I think that maybe on the wording it might have been Fabrizio saying that they admire too many, but it's a difficult one. Of course, it is difficult. I mean, if you're playing for Real Madrid, why do you want to leave? Why would you want to leave Real Madrid? Like, it's just a difficult one. British players will always be expensive. Do you know what I was thinking? We've got a Man United though. We are actually in a more profitable situation this season. Okay, we made a little bit of profit in Q1. I'm guessing we'll make a little bit of profit in Q2. But the problem is, Man United made substantial losses and they haven't been run very well for years. So I think with this one, that it might be a case of trying to get as many players in as possible that are obviously good quality, and maybe the very big signings. If you remember, put it this way: when Man United made big signings in the past, like pretty big signings, like say like Dwight York, Yapstam, you get two players that are going to walk in and transform the team. You look at like big money on Van Nistelrooy, you look at quite big money on Rooney, and look at big money on Rio Ferdinand. Those were the sort of days where Man United were maybe one or two players away from winning the league. So we lost the league in '98. You buy two players in, you win the treble. And I think Man United were always in a title race between what 1992 and like 2000 and say 2011, 2012. So we've spent like decades in a title race every single season. So when it came to transfer windows, it was a case of like buying the best possible player out there to get over the line. The difference at the moment is Man United have not been in a title race for a significant amount of time. So I think we could buy Anderson. Like, I think we could afford Anderson, but it might mean a compromise on potentially what else we can do in the team. And I think Anderson, like for me, I have said this myself. I would prefer Man United to go for Anderson, but I can't really change what's happening. That he's going to be a Man City player, it seems, unless something dramatic happens. So I don't know what we can do. We go on this one. So Corinne says the club needs more English, Irish, Scottish players because they can relate to the club on a much deeper level. Then I think it's going to be difficult to say that because I think Eric Cantona was one person that clearly he's not English, clearly he's not Welsh or Scottish either. I think Eric Cantona got what the club meant. So I think it could be like I think you can see it both ways. Like with Kobe Mainu, he gets what the club means, and I think you can see like Aidan Heaven as it could be a great signing for the future. I think you need a mix. I think you do need to get. I think for me, it's not necessarily where the players come from. It's like, do they get what's required at Man United? Do they like want to make the pressure's going to be pretty intense, isn't it? So again, I think it's going to be quite difficult to try and get some of these players. If you get most of these players in, Mr. Beast is your title challengers next season. What do people think? Like if we got say Matheus Fernandes and Tonali, and you're looking at trying to think of like who else you would look at. So, and if we got a left back that's decent, like, are we close enough to? Are we title challengers? Like, do we need to get some? Like, I think we need to get a backup striker, and I don't really mind if we go for a player on loan because it depends on what the budget is. In my view, the budget should be, there should be plenty of money there, but I'm just wondering whether Man United are going to be not wanting to spend crazy amounts because you could then see if we go for signings like I said, I do like Alex Scott. He might be a bit cheaper. Matheus Fernandes is probably going to be cheaper than the other players we looked at. Do you think that that means that we could be looking at maybe see how this goes and then maybe add some quality? Like we need to add some players in January next year. Like this season, I don't know why we didn't do that, but if we start looking like we're running struggling a little bit. We should be doing what Man City do in January when they bought Semenyo and Gahey. So I'm just thinking if you're looking at spending that sort of money mid-season, it would make more sense to get these deals done in the summer. So then they've got the pre-season, they've got, and if a player's coming from a different league as well, you've got a bit of an adaptation process. Even Matheus Fernandes, I think it would take a bit of time to get him up to speed as well because we saw that with even like Cunha. I think Cunha the second half of the season was better than the first half of the season. So I can see that I know people are going to have a lot of issues with this one. Chris says we need better defenders before we can seriously challenge. Do you see that as going to be like? But what do you think in terms of this? Like Man United, they're interested in Lewis Hall. He's obviously going to be quite expensive, and at the moment, the difficulty we got really is like De Ligt's injury issue. If De Ligt had been maybe as effective as we hoped he was going to be, and if he could play at the best of his abilities, like we'd have a much better defense. But I think with this one, you'd have to say that Aiden Heaven and Yoro, it's just a bit too early, isn't it, for them? So 19 and 20, great for the future, but at the moment, trying to win the title next season, I don't think we're going to see Maguire playing as many games as he's not going to be able to play as much as he did this season. Surely, if we're going to play twice a week, so I do think over this, Chris, we do need upgrades in defence. That's why I'm thinking that if we spend that, what would be the best deal? Do people want to see a marquee signing, or do you want to see like Man United try and address as many issues as possible? Because the difference is going to be that Man United apparently, according to the media, are looking at centre backs. They are looking at left back. They're looking at like left wing, etc. So, I mean, how many of these deals can they get done and I don't think it means. I think it means they can't spend over £100 million on something like that as well. Ian says Glazer's debt forces us to go cheap. When you understand the bank's double dip at both sides, clubs and players, and so that's why fees are so expensive. Then with this one as well, that apparently Man United need to restructure some of their debt as well. I think they've had some of the debt. I can't remember how much it was now, but it's like 400 or 500 million or something like that, and they're going to have to restructure that as well. So not the most exciting topics, but it does mean that yeah, things are going to be changing. Andy says we're only going for people that want United and walk away from those that don't, and maybe that's the problem. That I can have like personally, I can have a list of my favourite targets, but yeah, I say the average foreigner, say foreigners like Evra, Bruno, perhaps Cunha, and made. I think Brian Mbeumo is like looking like he knows what it takes as well. I don't know. I think with this one that it's a bit different, isn't it? That the league now, there's a lot of there's a lot of players from different countries in every league. Big Dog says you got your main worry is next season is Carrick. You don't think he's good enough tactically. So yeah, I don't know. To be honest, I do not know what to say about that situation. Maybe with Michael Carrick, none of us really know what's going to happen next season with the extra Champions League football. I mean, weirdly, I remember David Moyes taking over from Alex Ferguson and actually did quite well in Europe. I remember, didn't we win 5-0 away from home with David Moyes? So I don't know. Honestly, not sure what to say regarding Carrick. That Carrick's going to get tested, and hopefully Man United give him the resources that he needs to try and get the job done. But to be honest, I don't think it's. I don't know what to say about Michael Carrick. I know people will have a bit of concerns, but it's very difficult to comment unless we see it. One of the things I would say is that it does seem to be that Man United will be looking at getting extra coaches into United. I don't know if it's like a done deal or anything, but they were looking at the Bayern Munich assistant manager. So in terms of like defensive coaches and attacking coaches, I think they're going to be looking at getting new people into the coaching structure anyway. So it might be that you see something slightly different from Michael Carrick next season. That's what I'm saying. We don't know what's going to happen, but I'd be surprised if we see exactly the same style of football. But one of the things we did see this season was Michael Carrick pretty much did whatever it took to get the best out of this team. If you give Michael Carrick different players, it kind of stands to reason that he will have different options. So maybe we see a different, like something slightly different as well. So we'll just have to see, won't we? With that one, that's something that we're gonna. No one can. I can't predict what Carrick's going to get done, but we'll have to see. I mean, it's going to be maybe next season after a couple of months we can have a sensible conversation, but it's very difficult to talk about that sort of time as well. Kate says we have to get a grip on that midfield, sign a centre back, so better sign. So what you're saying we should sign now and save later, or we'll go backwards. I think there's a risk here that if Man United don't do enough and you drop out of the if you drop out of the Champions League, it costs a lot of money to get back in there, doesn't it? So I think with United, you have to make sure that you get enough quality in. Like look at Newcastle United, one season in the Champions League, they play in the Champions League. It's a lot of issues then. And so listen to a West Ham United fan channel this morning. So they say that Fernandes told the club he wants United. That's what I believe as well. That's what I think has been out there. But it does seem that his agent is trying to kind of like keep this on the quiet, because as soon as he comes out and says he wants Man United, it makes a deal difficult to do. I think West Ham are just effectively waiting and maybe trying to delay things a little bit, because I'd read something actually that this morning it might have been that Mateus Fernandes is like pretty much agreed with Man United, kind of like terms or contract, etc. So I think there's like almost like an agreement between Fernandes and Manchester United in terms of like what his wage would be, etc. Those sort of things. The terms would probably be again. I see no issue with this either. That based on his age, based on his experience, I think Man United's wage structure would be, he'd fit into that easily. And it'd just be a matter of, I think West Ham are just waiting it out, hoping that a third party comes in with like significant offers. The problem is like West Ham might at some point realise that Fernandes has made up his mind, and he wants to join Man United. In which case, then Man United is going to have to make a what's considered like I suppose a sensible offer, and then it's going to be done, isn't it? So it's going to take a bit longer, but I'm starting to think that it feels like there's a bit of an inevitability about this process now. Uh, yeah, do you remember actually when Juventus got relegated, a lot of their players stayed with the club. So I'm guessing with this one that I mean Eddie Anderson he's probably going to get, I'd say, he's probably going to get a contract which is a bit higher than Man United would pay for that player. So I'm guessing that there would be 100% like a massive pay going Anderson's way to get this deal done. I think City might be doing what Man United did with people like Sancho, that if they go with an offer which is crazy, that we'll have to find out what happens. But don't be surprised if Elliot Anderson's on a massive contract at City. That might be the reason why he's going there. Quinn says great tactics will always need great players, and great players don't need great tactics. And he says Carrick is the man. There has been like a few people saying that when you get better quality players, maybe the issue of the manager will be somewhat different from tactical, and maybe it is going to be man management and other skills. But I'm just going to say this that let's just see what happens with Michael Carrick. But I mean, when I heard that Michael Carrick was going to be given a 2 year contract, I was just quite relaxed about the situation. But again, people's opinions can change. I think you could probably say that Michael Carrick had what significant amount of games in charge. You're talking from January to the end of the season, and the win rate was incredibly good. I know people will say it's 1 game a week. The issue is though, this squad was never capable of playing 2 games a week, no matter who was in charge. And if you look at the depth we had last season, it's so thin. I think that's why you look at it and think Man United we need at least like 6 players in, don't we? So um, we'll have a conversation maybe next season. I think with Michael Carrick. At the moment, it's completely guessing, isn't it? Like completely guessing. TJ says Carrick will do well next season. You're very positive. Maybe before the season starts and maybe after the World Cup, maybe we should do like a prediction stream of where Man United are going to finish. Because until the transfers come in, it's really difficult to say anything, isn't it? Like really difficult. And I think if Michael Carrick gets backed sensibly, then we'd hopefully be expecting something. Any Tonali news? I see the question there. I think at the moment, then I think it's pretty much the same as what's been put out there in the last couple of days that media sources are expecting Man United to make an offer for Tonali. They're expecting like £72 million to be like the starting price. I think I did a couple of streams about it, but until something goes in, I think we just have to wait and see what happens. Like until we see a storyline that's or something out there saying that Man United have made an offer, then we don't know what's going to happen at all. Grace, welcome to the chat. As far as I know, then I think Mourinho might find a use for Mbappe. I think he could do a job in a couple of places in Real Madrid's team. So I don't think we signed Mbappe yet. I think he might be a little bit on the pricey side. So I have no idea. I actually have no idea how much Mbappe would cost in the open market, but I don't think so. I don't think so. We'll have to see what happens with that one. Big up to you, Jordan. Jordan, maybe a question for you from your football club as well. Are we going to see Liverpool getting a good deal and getting Alex Scott? Are we going to see Alex Scott following Areola to Anfield? I hope not, but we'll have to see what happens. Yeah, we'll have to see. If Michael Carrick gets backed, I think we'll be expecting him to do okay. That's kind of what I'll be expecting. If we got in a few midfielders, left back, say left wing, as a minimum, and maybe like a loan deal to cover like some of our squad kind of like issues, I'd be expecting Michael Carrick to be comfortably kind of like similar to this season. Maybe we can see what he can do in cups as well, which we didn't get to see last season. And Andy says West Ham want a bidding war. Yeah, they 100% do, don't they? And you think 65? To be honest, I think that's going to be somewhere near the money. If you consider that Alex Scott might be about 55-ish, possibly. You got Fernandes being about 65. Tonali should probably cost a bit more. I'd imagine it's got more experience, so you'd expect maybe a bit more that deal. I think when you look at Mateus Fernandes costing 65, I think it's quite difficult to justify that Elliot Anderson's going to be like 110, 120. So I think I'm in like say historical days, Man United could blow teams out of the water. At the moment, I don't think we're financially there yet. Maybe in a year's time, 2 years' time, Man United can go for these crazy deals. But at the moment, how many years have we got in the Champions League over the last sort of 5 years? And that's the problem. Every year you miss out on, it's going to be a big problem. Go on this one. So you don't think how we played last season is sustainable? I don't know. How is the league table pretty much is the metric by which you measure how your team's doing. So if Man United finished third and we've finished winning, like we beat most of the top six, I think it is sustainable. And I don't see how it's not sustainable because Man United we've got the same players we have this season, and we're going to adding new players to it. So I don't know why you feel it's not sustainable that Man United is scoring a lot of goals. If we fix our defence and fix our midfield, aren't we going to have the benefits of the attack with the benefits of having more control in games? So I think it is sustainable, but we'll have to see. I'm saying Scott going to Liverpool for sure. Then yeah, I quite like Alex Scott. I think a lot of people are not too keen on Alex Scott, but I think he's going to be one of these players that's going to be better in a couple of seasons. So we'll have to see with that one. My prediction is that Alex Scott will be a decent signing for whoever gets him as well. So I'll try and refresh the comments. So if you've got some comments you want to, and questions you got, please get them in. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. If you're able to share the stream as well, that's a bonus. And if you're able to click the like as well, that will definitely help with YouTube. Anderson is like the girl of your dreams, says Ryan, but she doesn't stop flirting with your mate. Yeah, so at some point you've got to realize, Ryan, at some point it's just not meant to be, is it? You've got to find someone that's got your back. You've got to find you. To be honest, with Man United, the players were not even going for. People were going to be frustrated that Man United hadn't made an offer. The question is, like, if Elliot Anderson is not interested, like, what is the point? Like, people got frustrated when Man United were chasing De Jong, and to be honest, it's just pissing De Jong off. So, I think that it's wasted energy in this transfer window. That if he doesn't want to come to Man United, I wanted Ronaldinho. He didn't work. He didn't come to Man United either, and you just have to move on. So, again, everyone's going to have a few players they want to sign, but if they don't want to do this one, Ollie finished second, and I think with this one though, are you not forgetting that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got some really bizarre transfer windows? Do you remember when Man United did a transfer window and they got Amad Diallo, Palestri, and on like deadline day, and those two players were like never ready for the Premier League. So we're not doing that. Like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I think I don't see the point in comparing him to Carrick because one, like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer didn't have Ineos making decisions. Barada was not at the club. Wilcox was not at the club, and Vivell was not at the club. So we made some crazy, crazy deals. I think if you had better transfer deals at the club, I think Ollie does better. That's what I'm saying. And I think if you have to have every sort of thing in line, don't you? So if Man United have a good coach in like Michael Carrick, and I think actually I did say this as well that Ruben Amorim in his second year results were improving, and a lot of it's down to getting better players into the club. So there's two factors at play that both people can be right. That if Man United get better players into the club, then any head coach is going to get better results. And then we're kind of arguing over who's the best head coach. If Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was in charge of Manchester City when we were finishing second, he probably wins the league. They had a ridiculous team at that time. So Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did really well. And actually, I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was sacked when we were about, what, fifth or sixth in the league. So it's not like we dropped down to mid-table. We were not doing particularly badly in that one. And I quite enjoyed the football. I quite liked the counter-attacking style. Um, so you're allowed to not like anyone. Anyone can like whatever style of football they want, can't they? Anyone can like any style of football they like. I personally, I don't like tiki-taki football. I prefer aggressive attacking football. That's just my preference. And I think United at the moment, when you see the Premier League, lots of transitions. I think Man United are very, very good in the way they attack. And Michael Carrick's style of football is a bit risk takey. It is a bit aggressive, and it will lead to like Man United will give away the ball a decent amount, and that's why we need to have better quality midfielders to win the ball back. Like Bruno Fernandes will give the ball away the same way that Kevin De Bruyne gave the ball away, but Man City had a lot better midfield behind Kevin De Bruyne, so I feel quite relaxed. If Man United got Mateus Fernandes, I think one of the reasons I like probably Eddie Anderson more than most players is because of how many times he can win the ball back in a given game, and that would be something that I think Man United would benefit from at the moment. I think having like Tchouaméni would be a luxury signing and a very good signing because he is again incredible at winning the ball back. But I think Man United have to be realistic that maybe with this one they could control possession and control the tempo of the game, but United need to have a cutting edge. And I think in modern football, if you can attack with pace and speed, if you watch the Champions League final, Arsenal were really poor when they got the ball. Like, they were very poor on the counter attack. They could have won that game if they had a bit more effective attack in my opinion, and they didn't have that. So I think if Man United are playing against teams where we do get the ball and win it back, I think we can definitely be hurting them. So let's go through a few of the comments. I think there's no point in arguing like the style of football because I have no idea what Carrot's going to do. Maybe it's going to surprise some people. Maybe it's going to be somewhat similar. I don't know. But we're going to start next season. We're going to start level on points of Arsenal and Man City and Liverpool. And Michael Carrick's going to have like the whole season to see what he can get done. And hopefully, we're going to be giving him more effective players, and then we can see what he's capable of. If he does really well in the league and does quite well in the Champions League, then I think he's like done a good job. But it's going to be very difficult as well. I say Dorgu's injury impacted us more than some people think. His game last day, he was fantastic. He scored a fantastic goal last night as well. If you saw that goal, I think he was playing right wing, wasn't he, Dorgu last night? And he cut in, hit a fantastic shot into the top corner. I think Dorgu is just incredibly versatile. So maybe what you're seeing is like if you watch Dorgu at Lecce, which probably most people didn't. I didn't watch him at Lecce, but I did read a few reports on him. He was playing left back, left wing, right wing at Lecce. Dorgu could play multiple positions. So maybe Man United are actually looking at it. If you think about what we're doing this season, maybe Manchester United want a left winger because Dorgu can play on the right. So maybe if Mbeumo plays in the centre, maybe Dorgu is going to move to the right and Cunha on the left. So it could be that Dorgu is a more effective player than Armadillo, and maybe that's what Man United are looking at. A bit of versatility in the squad. Maybe an elite left winger comes in, like a Diamonde. Maybe we go for someone like Rogers as the left, who knows? But maybe that means that Dorgu can switch to the right. So I think the suggestion that we've already got left covered, maybe one of those players doesn't play on the left. So I think at the moment, if I was looking at the squad, I think Ahmad Jallo is the most likely player to miss out based on what we've seen as well. So I think we could easily see Dorgu play on the right. Like he played last night, I think he could do this one as well. So let's get. If anyone's got any questions, please get them in as well. So some people don't believe ball retention is that important. I think people do believe that one. One of the most underrated things in football is winning second balls and recovering possession. That's something that's the reason why City was so successful is that they won the ball back very quickly, and particularly winning the ball high up the pitch as well gives you a lot of chances. To be honest, like possession can be a bit overrated because it doesn't really tell you if you're controlling the game or not. Man United have controlled games with not getting possession either as well. You don't think long periods. Sometimes you got to do that though. Sometimes you got to like. Sometimes you have to do that one. So Man United's game against Arsenal. Did you not enjoy that game? Because for me, that was going to be really good. Andy says he's a left back for you. I don't know. I don't see Man United using him as a left back though, Andy. Why do you think he's a left back for you? I mean, it might be that maybe if Man United didn't get a left back, they might use Dorgu there, but he looks like he's got too much going forward for me. That we're talking now with Dorgu like the shot after shot that's going like really like flying into the top corner. So I would imagine that at the moment that's where he's going to play. But again, if I was on Majalo and I see Dorgu playing on the right wing, I'd be thinking, right, I better step it up next season because I think Dorgu could be taking his place. Are you thinking about the French midfielder that plays for? There was, or maybe that's someone else. No, because there is a bit of rumor that maybe Man United are looking at potentially one of Paris Saint-Germain's other midfielders as like a backup to some of our main targets. I don't know if that's going to be something that happens, but it could be that we look at. I'm not sure we're going to see any emergency targets come out there at the moment in time, but it's the one with a double barrel name. Maybe it's Zaya Emery I was thinking of. He's going to be one. So Arsenal didn't have any possession in the champ. Arsenal had no outlet, did they? If Arsenal had a counter attack, then I don't know. Do you not think? Maybe it's just me. Do you not think that the Man United versus Arsenal match was very entertaining? I think the thing with like entertainment cake. I think most football these days has not been the most entertaining. Arsenal were not an entertaining team at all, but they won the league. Like no one would sit there and go, Arsenal were an entertaining team. They got to a penalty shootout to win the Champions League, and they weren't entertaining in that final at all. So I think there's a fine balance, isn't there, between being entertaining and effective. I think Man United, yeah, our team will always be more entertaining than Arsenal, in my view, because I think we do. Risk taking is entertainment, and again, the sort of football Carrick played and say coached this season was probably more entertaining than we've seen for a while. But again, there was a limitation in this one that sometimes you had to play games without a lot of options, and it's going to be tricky. But I think football should be entertaining. But I'd say a lot of football recently has not been as entertaining because there's an over reliance on systems, which makes it not as fun. But say I think Man United. If you drop Man United, this is kind of a hot take, I suppose, but if you drop Manchester United into the Champions League final against PSG, I think we'd have had more chance of beating PSG because Arsenal they didn't have a lot. For me, they didn't have a cutting edge. Like there was an error near the start of the game. We saw. I mean, Havertz is not exactly lightning quick, is he? And Havertz got through, and it's a very good finish. 1-0 to Arsenal. After that, Arsenal had no shots on goal for like the whole match, and there was like when the game opened up, there were loads and loads of chances for counter-attacking football, and Arsenal created nothing. Like for me, like Man United would have taken like one. We'd have definitely got some sort of shot, some sort of chance if we'd have been playing in that final. And the only thing you could argue is that maybe Paris Saint-Germain would get more joy, and maybe we'd have to score a couple of goals to take it to extra time. But I would be thinking that we got more goal threat than Arsenal at the moment. Looking at this one, so yeah, Arsenal do play boring football, don't they? Do play boring football. At the moment, Man United need to be honest, this season the remit has got to be get Champions League football. Like you got to be get that's a results based business to start with. And Michael Carrick was just thinking, yeah, we got to make sure we get, we've got to make sure we get the results, and then entertainment is obviously going to be one that you're looking at in terms of this one. So okay, the one game, okay, Manchester United versus Liverpool, first game of the season, we won that. Entertaining football. Man United against Liverpool, second game, another good game. Manchester United beating Fulham 3-2. The Brentford game was good. The 4-4 game of Bournemouth was a good game. So I think there's been good games. There's been disappointing games. The game against Everton was more tactical, where Man United was struggling against Everton. We kind of let them come on to us, and then we hit them on the break and got that game won. The 3-2 against Fulham, I think, was a good win. We completely took Spurs apart and won that game comfortably. I'm just saying that there's games there. If you watch every single match this season, there was decent games there. There was a lot of poor games at the start of the season, but I think overall, like there's a lot of things where when you're looking at the football, like there was a lot of games that were good watches. There was a lot of games where it's kind of stressful. The Forest game at the end of the season, we won that game. Um, that was quite a good game in that one. Like you say, Elliot Anderson did really well in that match. Man United could have scored like 5 or 6 goals. That was an entertaining game as well. So I think there was a decent amount of entertaining games there. I think it's just people have different things what they like. if you want to see like lots of control, we didn't really see that one. But so if you think football's boring now, everyone's going to copy Arteta's tactics. Well, do you remember Jeff talking about? I'm trying to think when you look at Arteta's tactics, they're quite boring and say pragmatic football. It's a bit like George Graham, like 1-0 Arsenal from the early 90s. But you look at that and go, they are going to change the rules in the World Cup. So some of this kind of wrestling around corners will not be happening. So I think Arsenal will have to evolve as well. So I don't know. I don't know. If I had to watch Arsenal 38 games a season, though, bloody hell, that's a struggle, isn't it? So again, I don't think there's going to be. I think people can watch a lot of football, and there's a lot of teams that are not particularly entertaining. There's a lot of teams that their fans must just watch them in a low block week in, week out, and think, bloody hell, like if you're watching your team defend every single match, that's going to be boring as well. So, yeah, I think with Man United, you do get a range of different matches that we're not generally in a low block, are we? We played a low block against Arsenal for about 25 minutes. Then the game opened up, and we had loads of chances in that match. So I don't mind. I don't mind regarding that one as well. There is no way that Michael Carrick is going to copy Arteta. Like, if you look at that one, for a start, we don't have the players that Arsenal have in defence, so Arsenal can defend. Manchester United, we've got way better attacking players than Arsenal. Like, if Arsenal had Bruno Fernandes in their team, they can play a lot different style. They haven't got anyone that good. Like Gyökeres is pretty limited. You saw Gyökeres look like I would look if I came on against PSG in that final. He looked dreadful. He was moving like slower than we see Maguire move. So Michael Carrick's not going to copy Arteta's style, and why would he? Like Michael Carrick's already beaten Arteta. Like, why would he be copying what Arteta's doing? I think Arteta's tactics worked for one season, but I don't see it being sustainable. And I hope that I don't think Arsenal's going to be winning the league next season. That's going to be my thoughts. Big up to you, Andy. Um, so Arteta is in win the game mode. Exactly. Arteta had an opportunity to win the league. He did that one as well. Um, I would agree, actually. I would agree. I think Arsenal played better football in the early 90s, late 90s, early 2000s. Like, it's not great, but it was effective somewhat. So Arsenal got the results. And that was kind of the aim of the game, wasn't it? So again, job done for Arteta, but not a great style of football. And I think Man United would not be looking to play that style. Man United are looking to sign, say, the players like Mateus Fernandes. We're not signing Mateus Fernandes to like park the bus and sit in the low block, are we? We're not looking to defend 1-0s. We're looking at trying to get exciting attacking players. We're looking at getting wingers, and some of the wingers we're looking at, like Diamonde, Rogers, these are exciting attacking players, aren't they? Semenyo was a player we were looking at as well. So I would look at the targets we're going for. We're not looking at being defensive as a team, are we? So sometimes in games you have to be defensive because if you go open and lose the game, then people say, "What the hell's Carrick doing?" That's bad tactics. But if you do go quite boring for a part of the match, for me that's sensible, depending on the game situation. So, well, I'll do a few questions as well. So the football that stopped Liverpool's dominance, lots of teams copied Graham's defensive tactics. George Graham's defence was world class, wasn't it? Like Arsenal was a phenomenal defensive team then, but Man United have never been that sort of team. Like we never had a defence that was as good as Arsenal's, but we always scored more goals and we always took more risks. And I think also maybe the best Arsenal team I've seen is probably the 1998 team, and that for me was going to be that was a team where they were quite dominant domestically, but for Man United, that I think our team has always been more entertaining. So I think we're always going to be looking at like more risk takers in our team. That's Bruno Fernandes for me sums up Man United a lot of the time where you want to get the ball forward quickly. You want to do this one. Yeah, to be honest, actually, I was happy when Arsenal beat Liverpool in that 2-0 game to win the title. I think they were a good team, but football's changed quite a lot since then. So no one thought we were going to beat Brighton. No, exactly. We destroyed Brighton at the end of the season, didn't we? Like with this one as well. If you spoke to Michael Carrick and said, Michael, would you rather lost a couple more games, but maybe instead of getting third, just got fourth, but played a lot more entertaining football? Like Michael Carrick's job is not to entertain, is it? That his job is to win football matches. I think we get actually entertained. I don't know if people didn't like it, but we scored as many goals as Arsenal. I thought our football was actually some of the things as well, though. Did you see Man United players wasting time at throw-ins, wasting time at corners, wasting time at set pieces? We didn't see that sort of bullshit, did we? So we're not the same as Arsenal. Like Arsenal are, if you watch the final against PSG, there was so much wasting, like so much time wasting. It was so frustrating to watch. That is not how Man United play. Like we go for it, and okay, it doesn't always work out, but I think that the style of football for me is a lot more fun to watch. And the Madness says 6 players incoming this window. Do we think that's likely? I said I've kept saying all along that I think we get 3 midfielders. I think we get a left back because I think you have to get a left back. Like Luke Shaw's not going to play 55 games, is he? And then we're probably going to go for a left-sided attacking player. I've recently reevaluated Dorgu and said maybe he could play on the right as well. We don't know, but it could be that Man United actually look for a versatile forward as well that could play left or right. So I wouldn't rule that out. I wouldn't rule out anything happening in terms of like whether they're going to go for a left winger that can play striker. I don't know. We have seen like a. It doesn't always work out as well, but we have seen a few instances of players that have played in both positions, and that would be what 5 players. So I think 5 at least, and it might depend on would Man United actually go into the loan market, which I think they should do. Like I don't mind getting some short-term loans if you can get some quality in the squad, and maybe that's something potentially there is a bit of potential from the academy that you might see Thwaites in the first team a bit more. You might see Lacey loaned out, but then Lacey potentially he could get more first, like a bit of first team action. So I think we're looking at least 5 players in, hopefully 6, and maybe an academy will player. And I think JJ will play a few games at some point. There will be some moves to make sure you keep him as part of the squad and stop him from being poached by teams like Barcelona. So I think there's definitely going to be a bit of flexibility in this as well. BLG Solly, yeah, the number 7 shirts are back. I had enough channel members to make add another emoji. So I think that's it for custom emojis. But no, number 7. I did say there was a bit of a bias towards Eric Cantona in the emojis, but then he's a top quality player as well. I'm not sure what I said, but it's always good to get some. I do say quite a few things, and I know people don't always agree with certain things, but whatever I said, you must agree with one thing. No, exactly, exactly. The best number 7 I think I saw since I've been watching Man United in terms of like influence, I would say as well. Cake emoji next. I don't know. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't make emojis of like people. No, I don't think people want that. But maybe I could. I think it's one in, one out for emojis now as well. So maybe it'll be depending on this one. I'll say, Carrick watching this chat. Note: try Dogu on the right. Get another centre back. Entertain Cake. I mean, entertaining Cake is going to be the most difficult one. I think Dogu on the right is something he can do straight away. Centre backs might be costly, but to be honest, that's probably more achievable than entertaining Cake possibly. No, I would say with this one that according to like I think sure when Dorgu was at Lecce, he did play like loads of positions. Do you remember like when I was doing a stream about Dorgu? Probably we signed him in January. I did a stream about Dorgu in the previous like autumn, I think it was. So it's like something like September. And when we were looking about at Dorgu, we did see that he's played as a left back, right back, left wing, right wing. So he played loads of different positions already as well. No worries, Solly. I'm not surprised, to be honest. I'm not surprised. Um, so Fergie's first league win will always be the most entertaining for me. That side had you on the edge of your seat. I guess what are you thinking? Is it Steve Bruce headers against Sheffield Wednesday? Like 2 headers from that one. Mark Hughes. I'm trying to think how that season kind of ended a bit weirdly, didn't it? Where in the end Nottingham Forest just bottled it, and it looked like it looked like trying to think. It looked like an easy league win, didn't it? Like by 10 points, but it was pretty tight. I think it's difficult to pick it's difficult to pick a favourite league title. I think that not like the 1999 season. was quite dramatic because we had all the kind of twists and turns, and it was against a very good Arsenal team. So I don't know if I do have a favourite. I think the first one's always going to be special because it's the first time you see a league title win, and maybe like the 1999 one's got to be up there, but 1997 as well, or 1996 when you're beating a very good Newcastle team. I think there's going to be one for sure. I think maybe when we won the league title back after Chelsea, that was one where I felt a bit of relief because I thought Chelsea were like an unbeatable team for a bit. So yeah, you find Alan Smith annoying. And it's because he's an Arsenal fan, isn't it? He's like an Arsenal player. He's not as annoying as Keown, to be fair. Mark says, "Do you think Arsenal are going to win the league this season?" I don't know. I think it's going to be more of a struggle for Arsenal. I think you might see teams counteracting their tactics. So I would not I would not say it's a foregone conclusion with Arsenal. I think they should be there. Like they've got some consistency. They've got the same manager, the same pretty much the same player. So there's no reason why Arsenal should not be in a title race. I think they'll be in a title race, but I don't know. I wouldn't put them as favourites. I think they're going to be in the mix, but I wouldn't say favourites necessarily. I'd be looking at City, thinking City are going to have enough to be like in a title race for sure. Don't underestimate Liverpool. Like Liverpool with Areola, good coach, potentially getting a couple of players as well. They will have the players they've already got that Slot was struggling to get a tune out of. So I think Liverpool bounce back will be a thing to look out for as well. So I think it's going to be quite difficult as well. United Strand says new a better bid from City from Anderson going in. Yeah, we've been discussing that, and Man United fans are not happy. Do you think United Strand, like regarding what you're saying, do you think Man United were ever in the mix? Like, because when I was looking at it, saying, okay, just from like a neutral standpoint, if you're like looking at the deal, if City are bidding for Anderson and Anderson wants to go to Man City, then what can Man United do? Would be my question. Like, if Man United make an offer for Elliot Anderson, then to Nottingham Forest, and Forest can accept it, but if Elliot Anderson doesn't want to come to Man United, then what can we do? This is like Benjamin Sesko and Newcastle. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if it's like you're saying it's very foolish of Ineos. What can Ineos do in this circumstance? Like what could Newcastle have done to get Benjamin Sesko? They offered Benjamin Sesko a better contract than we offered him. They offered Benjamin Sesko, actually, they offered Leipzig more money than we were prepared to pay. So I don't know what we can do unless we go crazy and like put a massive offer on the contract. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what we can do. And say, you think it was more penny pinching rather than the player saying anything? Then the thing is though, I don't know because these talks are confidential, and you think it's more penny pinching. No, it could be penny pinching. It could be penny pinching, but I think if Man United thought that Anderson wanted United, I think they would be putting an offer in again. If Eddie Anderson said, "I want to join Man United," and just suppose that happened, say there's a press release, Eddie Anderson wants to join Manchester United. In that case, Man United have got all the power, and we don't have to spend however much. Like if Nottingham Forest want 120, and we say, "Look, we're going to pay 90, or we're going to pay 100," then it doesn't matter what City do as well. So I don't know. I don't know what to do. I know people like to be honest. I'll say this as well. I agree. I don't trust Ineos at all, and I don't trust Jim Radcliffe. But I think in this instance, I'm not sure what you can do. If a player wants to join a certain club, I'm not sure what you can do. So I don't know. Yeah, like I said, I don't trust Ineos, but I'm not sure what you can be looking at as well. Then Corinne says the club are not going for after Anderson because they are realists, while fans are not. So yeah, don't forget. I don't think VAR is going to help Arsenal quite so much as it did. Please don't forget to click the like, and if anyone's new to the channel, then please don't forget to like get involved in the chat as well. So I'll be live for like another 5 minutes, I think, and then there will be a live late tonight, 9 p.m. Jules and G Wolf will be talking about. I'm not sure exactly what the topic's going to be. It depends on what news is out there. Ian says United made it known Anderson was their target at Christmas, I think. So what went wrong? Then I think with this one that, you know, in terms of what goes wrong, then I think if Elliot Anderson doesn't want to join Man United, then I don't know what you can do. That there's been loads of players. Man United wanted to get Alan Shearer. He was their top target. He said no, so you have to move on. So what do you think, Ian? Like why do people think Man United are not making an offer? Because are we too slow, or is it just that we're only going for players that want to join Man United as well? And so you don't believe that. So every time we don't get our preferred target, Ineos have got fans saying he didn't want to come. I think as though, is it clever of Ineos though? Because if Man United were going to be looking at it, say foolish of fans to believe it. So do you think that Eddie Anderson wanted to join Man United and Man United just said no, you're too expensive? Okay, if you can find some sources, then send them my way. I'm just saying I don't know. I do not know if Elliot Anderson had a preference to join either club. So as far as I'm aware, I don't think there's information out in the public domain that says either way regarding that one. So I don't know. I think it's like the too many situation that too many everybody knew he didn't want to leave the club. So it's tricky to say, isn't it? So I'm just saying there's no information out there. So I don't think there's information either way regarding Anderson. I don't if anyone knows anything, then I just think Anderson doesn't want to come, or if he does want to come, there's no information out there at all, is there? So I don't know what to say. So I think when Man United say they don't want to pay the money for Anderson, I think they just know that they're not going to go for him. So um, Berber says I'd bin the idea of Anderson and go for Matheus Fernandes. So Anderson will get fat, lazy, and relegated if he goes to City. So I don't know. I don't know if we're going to actually hear anything about that at all as well. Thing is, though, we probably wouldn't find out about this deal until actually it's happened. If he doesn't want to come to Man United, then that's fine. I don't think we know either way. All I'd say is that Man United have had talks with a lot of different players, and if we seem to be only making an offer if he wants to join Man United. So Andy says, as fans, we can't have it both ways. We want our club run right, and then we're saying what we want our club to spend the most amount of money on one player, and says for you it doesn't make sense. And you're saying that yeah, fans want Man United to run properly, that's for sure. And then fans want to spend 120 million pounds on Anderson. I guess for this one, like none of us know exactly how much money that Man United can spend. But what we do know is that it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult to attract certain players because Man United has not been in the title race for a long time either, as well. I'd say Tuchel's blocked all agent talk during the World Cup. So I don't know. I think some agents are not. I think some agents are deliberately. We're like Matheus Fernandes and with Elliot Anderson. I think some players and some agents are deliberately trying to not put information out into the press regarding where the player wants to go, because as soon as there's a preference, it just means that the power's with that one club. So if if Anderson wants to join City, he's not going to say because it's not in his best interest to say. It pushes the price up if he doesn't. If he doesn't say anything, like Matheus Fernandes is the perfect example of that, and Sully Talks was saying the same sort of thing as well. Um, Gleisner off to Milan. Hmm, that's an unusual one. Yeah, I would say like let's see regarding this one. So White City getting hit with 115, it's outrageous. Um, your guess is as good as mine. City have got a lot of money. Say Wharton is now a £100 million player. Don't think he should be a £100 million player. Yeah, I've heard nothing from Anderson's camp either. Not a thing. So I have no idea. I have no idea what Anderson wants. I think Anderson's not going to say what he wants because Anderson seems to want the best possible deal. I see, so I don't know. Cody says you're saying that you're not too worried about the targets. You're not going to make a fuss about it. So that's like clause. Yeah, I think with this one, then this is an interesting one actually because apparently there are potentially supposed to be some clauses in the contract. There was a rumor that if Nottingham Forest didn't get Champions League football, there was a release clause for Champions League clubs, which would be about 50 million. So I don't think that's necessarily true. Ben Jacobs was saying something about that months ago, but also the owner of Nottingham Forest has previously taken legal action against people reporting on clauses in contracts. So no one's actually been able to say anything about clauses in contracts for fear of being sued. So I think in terms of this one, that there was speculation there might be clauses, but I don't think they actually knew, and I don't think they would be allowed to release any information. So it might well be that there's clauses in the contract, but it might be that they can still that Elliot Anderson still has to agree to leave, and maybe they're still looking to push the price up because a £100 million deal benefits Elliot Anderson as much as anybody as well. So I think with this one that I did see a story as well saying that potentially you could have a clause in the contract where the bigger the price he goes for, Anderson might get a bit of a cut of some of that money as well. So this is a deal. These are sort of clauses that are in some contracts as well. So if Anderson goes for 50, that all goes to the club. Maybe 60 or 70, it all goes to the club. If it starts going like 80, 90, 100, 120, maybe there's going to be a percentage of that extra money going to Anderson. That is the sort of clause that has been in some contracts in the past. So I'm just saying with this one, it's in Elliot Anderson's interest to pretty much say nothing and to hope for the best possible price for Anderson and the club and the agent. So again, if City are looking to get a deal done for 100 million, and Man United, we could go for the same sort of offer, but if Anderson's got no interest, that's I'm just guessing here that if he wanted to join Man United, then we'd see Man United move him, wouldn't we? It would make if we're not going for that one, I don't know. Overall, I think with this, like, we're talking about the 8th of June now, so maybe what we're going to see is we'll have to see what happens over the transfer window and see how much money we spend on all our players. If we end up spending quite a lot of money, but addressing a lot of factors, maybe that will indicate why we didn't do this one. So we'll see. I'm sorry saying if we buy Tonali for £80 million, how many years? Say little sell on. So what's the age difference for these two players? That Tonali would cost 80, Anderson would cost 100. What if Anderson wants 300k a week? Then maybe that's a factor as well. So I don't know. I don't know. I think Anana might be doing that because he moves in bullet time as well. I'll say this: I agree with United Strand. Anderson for 10 years, £10 million a year. I think it's a good deal. But I do agree. I'm agreeing with you. I think Anderson would be the player I go for, and I think if there is a chance that he could be a Man United player, Man United should go for it. Like we should go for it. But I don't know. There must be a reason why. If it's because Ineos are saving money, then that's obviously a disgrace. If it's because they think there's no chance, if Elliot Anderson has privately said there's no chance, then what can we do with that one? Fernandes, I've not heard Belieber talked about for ages actually, so I don't know. I don't know if we're going to see a move for Belieber. That's something that we'd have to see. But no, I'd imagine at the moment that Alex Scott might be someone that I'd be looking at trying to go for as well. So, anyone got any final comments as well? But yeah, United Strand, I agree. He's the best target available. But for whatever reason, like we're kind of not going for it, are we? Yeah, I don't think Belieber's going to be a Man United player. I thought it like a couple of months ago, but I just don't see Man United going for him. It doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? Do you think Raul Jimenez wildcard bench option? I don't know. What's the Danny Welbeck situation? Because I would be looking, say, all players bits cost 100 million. Yeah, if all players cost 100 million, just get the best one, don't you? Um, do you think, like, this is a question of people that watched Lewandowski over the last year or two. If Man United get a striker, then surely the idea is going to be that Benjamin Sesko won't play every single match. So would Lewandowski be able to play full matches? Like, will he be able to play the full 90? Because I think if you're going to look at rotating Benjamin Sesko, a backup striker has got to play full matches, surely. Otherwise, like Benjamin Sesko can't play every single match, and the games he doesn't start come off the bench. Like, it will need to be rotated a little bit, depending when we start having lots of fixtures. So, would Lewandowski be good for 90 minutes, or would we be looking at moving Umbremo or Cunha or a different player in the striker position? So, Solly, you still get him, say, if we got Belieber for 40 million, like 45 million, no, Chris, like, oh no, Vlahovic for me is like he's got the same trajectory as Sancho, where if it was 2021, I'd be all over that deal. But it's 2026, and Vlahovic has got worse and worse and got more injuries. So, now for me, the least favourable deal I've seen recently is I'm not a fan of Rafa Leao now. Again, 2022, get Liao in. 2026, no, no thanks. So I don't think like Vlahovic seems like a really bad deal. I think Rafa Liao doesn't seem like the best deal. I don't think United are going to sign those players. So I'd be very surprised if they did, but we'll have to see what happens. I think it's just, I don't know. It's just one of those deals where we're linked to the player, like Cucurella. Are we going to make a move for Cucurella? Surely not. He wants to go back to Spain. It doesn't seem like it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Like some of these stories we're seeing out there, it doesn't make 100% sense. So rank these deals most likely to least likely. Okay. So what you got there, you got Watkins. Watkins I like, but he's very, very expensive, isn't he? Mateta, Osterman, Vlahovic, Thiago, Welbeck. Wow, that is a tricky one. That's tricky. You've got like that's a massive range of prices, isn't it? Is Mr. B still in the chat? Because he's not going to like us talking about Thiago. Danny Welbeck. I don't know. This is impossible, isn't it? I think Vlahovic's got to be unlikely. Surely unlikely. Like we had options to try and do a swap deal, didn't we, with Sancho? Mateta. This is a very hard one. I would say Victor Osman's got to be unlikely, given how old's Victor Osman now? Like 28, and he's getting like 300k a week or something. I think that's going to be pretty difficult one. I think Ollie Watkins is nearly impossible as well because he's going to be too expensive. So I'd be thinking Mateta might be near the top end of that one. I think that the least likely might be someone like Vlahovic, but I don't see that one. And Victor Osman, not very likely. Welbeck, I don't know. I would I would take if Welbeck was like on a free, like he's what 35. I would take Welbeck because he's suitable for the Premier League. He's more than capable of leading the line. He's good in the air, decent finish, and actually having great form. If he's not injured, Welbeck's a good option. So I would say maybe I don't know how much is Thiago going to cost. If he costs a fortune, then Mr. B says if we get 100 million for Thiago, we're taking it. Right? We're not gonna give you 100 million for Thiago. And we can't keep going to Brentford and taking their best player every single season. Um, yeah, so I would say that maybe Mateta, Welbeck, Thiago, Watkins, Osimhen, Vlahovic in that order. Maybe Watkins would feel like he's. I think Watkins might be too expensive as well. I think Man United might go for Mateta because he might not be that expensive. That's my kind of guess for that one. And I think also, Welbeck could be a good option. I think Thiago feels expensive, doesn't he? Like, and I'd say that the least likely might be Vlahovic. I think Vlahovic hasn't got some injury issues and form issues. I think that again, I don't know. I've not seen a lot of coverage out there. I think Victor Osman. I don't know. We talked about him a lot last season. Cody says that cheapskates would do Mateta, Watkins, Thiago. Thiago's not cheap though. Like Thiago's not cheap. Like say Watkins won't be cheap either. Watkins will be expensive. So I think that these are quite expensive deals. I don't mind Welbeck actually. I think Welbeck had a. I mean, I'll say this as well. I think I got it wrong with Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I thought he would do nothing next season and this season that's just been, and he is actually quite effective. So again, I think some players that you could look at and say, how many chances will Man United create? So even like if Vlahovic is not injured, maybe Vlahovic isn't the worst option, but I think his salary demands are quite high based on his contract. So I think that might be one that United don't want to do for that reason. So yeah, maybe Mateta's the most likely, but that's a guess. If I was going to pick one, if the budget was if we had a big budget, I might consider Thiago. I think he's a good player in good form, and maybe Creepy Junior would be the one that if he was cheaper and we had the budget, he might be a good option. If we've got if we got almost no money, I don't mind Welbeck because he's had a good season. But again, we're basically talking about this season, next season coming up, aren't we? And we're hoping that Benjamin Sesko is. So for me, if you go for an older option like someone like Welbeck, then it doesn't really hinder any sort of problems with Ivan Toney. People have talked about he was a good player. Again, I think he's banged in like about 40 goals this season, but it is in like the you know. But Dominic Calvert-Lewin was bullying our defenders, and you could see that he would be. He's. I think he got some like experience there, and it could be something that Dominic Calvert-Lewin learns from as well. So yeah, so bring Tony back, better than Welbeck is on a free, says Andy. Yeah, it could be. That's I mean, there's options there, isn't there? There's a few options there, and they're not really that expensive. So I don't know. So if you're going for players over 34 years, they must be elite. I mean, think if you're looking at players, I think age is very different for different players, isn't it? Like if we're looking at someone like Lewandowski, how's he going to do as well? Um, I would Thiago on relatively low wages. Maybe actually, yeah, maybe you make actually this could be a good point, Jarvis. That if you're looking at the transfer deal overall, then it could be that if you get decent installments, like Mr. B, you probably want to mute the stream at this point in time. No, but if you're looking at it though, in terms of this one, this is kind of the sort of deals Man United are looking at the moment, and this is why I think someone like Lewis Hall or someone like this is why Matheus Fernandes might be a much cheaper deal than someone like Tonali. Maybe you're looking at a transfer fee that's going to be the transfer fee is going to be high, but you are paying that transfer fee over 5 years. So if Thiago was going to cost, but how much would Thiago? Does anyone actually have an idea of how much it's going to cost? I think I've seen like 70 talked about, but if you spent, let's say, if you spent 10 to 50 million pounds per year on Thiago in terms of transfer fee, but your wage is going to be low, relatively speaking, so maybe they're looking at 100. I'm not sure how old Thiago is, but if you're considering maybe like a 150k a week contract or something like that, then that would be considered, I guess, quite low in comparison to like someone like Vlahovic who might be on like 250, closer to 300. Someone like Osman would be on a crazy salary as well. So maybe actually that's not too bad because that's like you're looking at 25 million a year then, aren't you? With like the maybe 10 million or 15 for his transfer fee, maybe like actually no 150k a week. You're looking at 7.5 million per year, and maybe overall that's actually not a bad deal. So I don't mind that deal. He was very good last season. I think you'd expect it to be honest, like how old is Thiago? Again, that would be quite a good option. So sorry, Mr. B. Maybe the numbers do actually work out quite well. Yeah, he's got a lot of youth on his side. There is definitely in terms of the deal. That's why I think too many was going to be astronomically expensive because when you look at too many, he's already on a massive salary, and Real Madrid would not be looking to let him go cheap either. So, yeah, good point. Good point, Jarvis. Maybe that's worth it then if Man United got the money. I have said a few times, if Man United went for someone like Matheus Fernandes and maybe like an Alex Scott or maybe like another option that's not going to be the Elliot Anderson option, if Man United did get someone like Thiago, and if Man United did actually look at getting a left winger, and they did actually address the left back situation or centre back, or did these extra deals around the squad, then maybe Man United fans like would not be quite so worried about that one. So yeah, it could be that the overall package could be what we're expecting. So breaking news: we talked about Anderson for so long that there's news has been breaking about him. Study Talks is saying that Man United talks with Fernandes. So is this not what we already knew that United have been out having talks already? But he's not at the World Cup, so this could get done. I think. So maybe the news we saw this morning that if Tchouameni's not going to leave and there's no interest from Real Madrid, maybe we're going to be looking at this as well. So, Sully tends to just say things when they're kind of categorically correct, aren't they? So he's not going to be someone that posts loads and loads about this. Sully did say yesterday or the day before regarding Matheus Fernandes that the delay is essentially his agent pretty much blocking any news and just hoping for a bidding war and hoping to keep things really, really silent. So Mendes is doing his job. I did say actually, when was it? I said this that someone this morning actually, if Andy's still in the chat, somebody said that West Ham sources are saying that yeah. So Capology is off on this one. They have Thiago at 75k a week, but I suspect it's closer to 40 to 60. Value Bell tends to be a more accurate source when it comes to wages. Okay, that's not bad though, actually, is it? Because I think either way, you look at Man United and Man United's. So in terms of like wage structure and things, you'd be looking at it going to be not a problem at all. I mean, Thiago was signed a couple of years ago at Brentford, wasn't he? So I think Thiago had a lot of injury issues the first season, so that's maybe why he was a little bit off the radar. I think for a few people like Thiago. Let me just double check something. No, Thiago was like so good against us in actually the game where we went very defensive in the second half, and I think that's when like Thiago was the reason. On a better day, he gets a couple of goals. So only 24, which I don't mind having two strikers, 6'3". We're gonna would be a good option for United this season at Brentford. Very impressive, 25 goals in 40 matches, 22 goals in the Premier League. Again, I'm not sure how many penalties, but say 5 or 6 are penalties, then obviously those numbers would come down a bit at Man United. But can you imagine the difference? If Man United could get this deal done, that would be quite an exciting deal. So he's scored a couple of goals for Brazil this year as well. So he's not going to be cheap. He's certainly not going to be cheap. And I think before he signed, so he's been at Brentford 2 full seasons. Quite a good deal from Club Brugge then. I mean, he was good in that league. But last season, say 2024, 2025, he only got to play 8 games because of injury. This season, he played every single Premier League match. Was one of the reasons why Brentford finished as high up the league as they did. I'm trying to work out how much money they spent for him. So they bought him for only 7.9 million euros. They signed him for. No, so actually no. How much did they? No, so that's how much Club Brugge bought him for. So Brentford paid 38 million euros. So what's that? That's going to be 30 million pounds roughly. So 30 million pounds 2 years ago. So how many years has got left on his contract? So a 5-year deal. He's got 3 years left on his contract. I think Man United would have to spend quite big to get him. But for me, I don't know how much he would cost, but I don't think Man United are going to get a cheap deal. So no, I'm quite in favour of that deal. Mr. B's not going to like it, but maybe I think Man United would have to go quite big on that one as well. Stop calling us Brighton. No, sorry. I think actually the difference between Brighton and Brentford is Brentford do actually sell players for sensible prices, and Brighton are actually in danger of missing out on a lot of deals as well. No, how much would he like genuinely cost though? Is probably the question. Like I know you were saying like 100 million. Do you think we're going to see something like with 70? Would people be happy spending some like 70 million? Danny B said that if you're going to spend 70, you go for Krupi. then maybe that's going to be the case that if United go for that sort of money, maybe Creepy Junior or Thiago would be the best options. Then Creepy's even younger, isn't he? So that's going to be a difficult one. Say Creepy is off limits, then Bournemouth made that clear when Arsenal were trying to sign him. Do you think this one is going to be like would Creepy just be crazy money? Like possibly, maybe that's what they're looking at. So maybe Thiago's going to be very expensive. I don't know. I don't know. For commentators, though, it just means that if someone in midfield touches the ball, then you're probably going to just say Fernandes, aren't you? How many more Fernandes can we be linked to as well? So I did say I was going to finish a bit earlier, but I might only be doing one live stream myself today. So we will. I'll take some questions that people have got as well. What would be the best option then for a striker? Creepy Junior, or is he too expensive? Or are we gonna? Would you go for Thiago? Like, would we be able to get Thiago for? So what's a sensible price? Is it going to be about £70 million? Is it going to be something similar to Sesko? Like, would that be a deal where we can get this deal done? I don't know. I'll see what Mr. B says. If he goes though, I've got no doubt that Brentford will get a sensible recruitment replacement as well. So he ended the season badly, stopped scoring. If he goes, we're going to find an ideal replacement. Then yeah, he's going to be quite expensive. But if you buy a player that's going to be in the top few players in the Premier League and scoring, I mean, this is what we did last season, isn't it? We got Cunha and Buemo. They're going to be quite pricey. I'd imagine that 24 years old, low salary. I think you'd be looking at Sesko. Like my guess is like £70 million, maybe 60 to 70 might be something that if you're looking at Brentford, they would be doubling their money. They paid 30 for him. They would have other targets they're looking to try and get. So they might be happy to sell him. I don't know, but it's one where we're probably not going to agree on whether it's worth that sort of money. But I think maybe there is a chance United surprise people. I still think it's I'm still not expecting the most in this window. I'm still expecting Man United to not get all the deals done because that's just what's happened, isn't it? As well. This John can score penalties. Oh, Bruno Fernandes can score penalties, and Buemo Cunha can score. We've actually set ourselves up with a lot of very good penalty kick takers. To be honest, if we got Thiago, we'd have a team of like penalty takers. I remember Cucurella's goal celebrations against us before his move to Chelsea. Who did he play for before he moved to Chelsea? Did he play for Sociedad or something? I can't remember where he played for. I actually know. Oh, he played. What am I thinking? No, he was playing for Brighton. But where did Brighton buy him from? No, for me actually, Cucurella is one of my least favourite players in the league. Not based on ability, I just don't like him. If he did join Man United, then obviously he'd have my backing, but I'll say before the event, I'm not going to be campaigning to get him in. I think we should go for a different player. But if we did get him in, I'd hopefully it works out. But it's absolutely it's like a tropical storm outside, absolutely hammering it down. Any final questions, guys? I'm going to wrap it up and say thanks everybody for watching today. I don't think there's any more questions to go. Say no to Cucurella. Yeah. Kenny, yeah, we'll have to think about that one as well. So you'd rather Evan Nielsen than Thiago. Whoever says you like him, we need more shit has it. You like Cucurella. Do you think Cucurella's going to be. Is Cucurella one of these players you dislike unless he's in your club? Like, would I change my mind if he's on my team? I don't know. Because Cunha's a bit like that, but I respected Cunha before we signed him, so I quite liked him as well. God, it's like torrential rain outside. Yeah, his quality. He just annoys me. I don't know what it is. It just annoys me. What about Martinez from Inter Milan as a two-year option as a striker? He's good. he's good. My only question would be like, how old is he? How much is it going to cost? I would probably prefer to go for a Premier League option, a striker if possible. But now Martinez is a good player. People that watch him says you like him. Yeah, I don't like him. I don't know. It's not the hair either. It's just him. Would these strikers come in as backup? I don't think you can get Lissandra. If you're looking at what's his name? Like if you're looking at Martinez, I know the player you're talking about. I don't think you can get Martinez as a backup, can you? Could you get? I think you could get Thiago in as a backup because it would be that Man United have a lot of games, and it could be almost be like you're just rotating. And again, I would say that I think Benjamin Sesko would miss a significant amount of games anyway. Like he missed quite a lot in a 38 game season. So if you threw in Champions League matches as well, I think you'd need someone like that. So I think you could offer a lot of first team football for these players as well. The only question really is going to be you'd have two players at the same sort of age. So I'm wondering whether Man United would go for someone a bit older or someone that's a bit younger. If we're going to have one striker that's going to be our first choice, does it make sense to spend a lot of money? I don't know. Personally, I think Man United should have more options. Like we played 4-4-2 and had four strikers that were first team quality. So I don't see why we can't have two strikers first team quality playing where we're playing at the moment. And I think that's what we should be looking at. We should be looking to try and get more quality into our team for sure. Hey guys, thanks legends for the chat. If you're in if you're in the Discord, I'll post when like Jules is going to be hosting this evening. I'll be taking a bit of time off, but for some reason my voice is going. I didn't even do like an earlier stream today. But if you smashed the like, 37 people did. Big up to you. Do I think we'll move for Wharton if Tonali and Anderson doesn't happen? Um, the only thing I can think of with that one, just to answer this question before I go, the only thing I can think of that one is that if for some reason Liverpool go for Alex Scott because they also got Areola in, I think I think Wharton's a bit underrated in terms of like players you could get. So I think Wharton is like a player we should definitely look at. I think 100 million sounds a lot. I thought Crystal Palace were going to accept 60, 65 because they had some agreement with Wharton that they'd let him go for that sort of price. But we'll have to see if that pans out. But I do like him. I think 100 million sounds a bit steep, but no, I think Wharton might be a bit underrated in terms of like the passing ability is there, the defensive side of his game is there. So I really like him. The only caveat maybe be that some people might say injury issues potentially a thing, so we'll have to see. Chris Wood, I've heard people talk about Chris Wood as like a backup, and to be honest, I'm not sure. I'm not sure that people talk about going for someone like Wood as like he was very good for Forest a season ago, a couple of seasons ago. I don't know. I'm not sure. It depends. Like for me, there's going to be a range of options. Like Thiago for me is a more exciting option, whereas Chris Wood is definitely short term. But again, it depends what you think would be the best for the whole season. I think ideally you want to have two players that are ready to go full 90 minutes most games. Whether Chris Wood's going to suit our team, I think we need more energy than that. I think if we're going to play 4-2-3-1, I think we need to have our front three really pressing the opposition and try and win the ball high up the pitch. So I'm thinking maybe more mobile strikers might be what we're looking for. But we'll have to see. So we'll have to see on this one. Um, these two comments in order pretty much sum up YouTube and football. That you can't mention a single player without one person disagreeing as well. Walter Maida, no, I don't think he's as good as Sasko. I think he was a bit expensive for Newcastle. I would say not my top signing, Bilal, but I can see why people like him. I can see why he could do a job. But guys, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe if you haven't done so already. And if you're able to share the stream as well, that would be appreciated. If you're able to leave a comment after we finish, that's always appreciated. Bit of a long one today, but I will be back myself tomorrow, and tonight there'll be Jules hosting as well. So please get involved if you're around then. And there might be potentially a few more streams coming up regarding the World Cup. We'll have to see what's happening. But then, guys, have a great rest of your day, And it's actually terrible weather where I am today. I don't know. It's supposed to be a heat wave in the UK, but at the moment, it's just a tropical storm. But then, guys, have a great rest of your day. Any breaking news that does actually constitute genuine news, we'll do like a short live. But otherwise, we're going to do regular streams around about the same time each day. So then, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.